Alice had always been a determined woman, focused on her career. At the age of 30, she already held a prominent position in an advertising company, but her love life was a true disaster. After numerous failed attempts to find a partner, she had practically given up on love. Alice was beautiful and intelligent. However, her strong and independent personality often intimidated men. She wouldn't settle for just anyone and had high expectations for a relationship. Encouraged by her friends, Alice decided to try her luck with dating apps. Initially, she was hopeful, carefully choosing the best photos and answering questions to create a profile that reflected her personality. However, what was supposed to be a fun experience quickly turned into a series of disastrous dates. The first meeting was with Eric, who self-declared as a born adventurer. In his profile, he displayed photos of impressive hikes, mountain climbs, and dives in crystal-clear waters. Alice, who also appreciated nature, was excited about the possibility of meeting someone who shared her enthusiasm for outdoor adventures. They met at a charming cafe in the city centre, and the conversation flowed well until the moment a small cockroach crossed the floor near their table. To Alice's surprise, Eric let out a high-pitched scream and jumped onto the chair, drawing everyone's attention in the place. "I can't stand those things," he exclaimed, visibly panicked. What could have been a funny situation turned embarrassing, and Alice began to wonder if Eric's entire profile was just an exaggeration. At the next meeting, she met an insurance salesman who seemed nice and attentive during the messages exchanged on the app. They met at a local restaurant, and the conversation started friendly, with Douglas explaining his job. However, the subject quickly turned to a grim tone. He began detailing, with unsettling enthusiasm, the most tragic scenarios he had encountered in his work, from house fires to fatal car accidents. "It's fascinating how well-structured insurance can make a difference in a tragedy," he said, while Alice tried to hide her discomfort. He then asked, "Have you ever thought about what would happen if something serious happened to you? Are you prepared for the worst?" Alice barely managed to finish her meal, desperately searching for an excuse to end the meeting. As time went on, each new attempt seemed worse than the last. As Christmas approached, Alice was thrilled at the prospect of returning to her hometown. The idea of spending the holidays with family was comforting after such a turbulent year. She planned to make the 5-hour drive, eager to see her parents and siblings again. On the morning of the 23rd of December, Alice arrived at the parking lot of the building where she worked. The place was bustling, with several cars coming and going. She skillfully maneuvered her small blue sedan into her designated spot. As she got out of the vehicle, Alice took a deep breath, feeling the cold winter air. She was wearing an elegant red coat over a black dress, her favourite work outfit. She was already walking toward the elevator when she heard a deafening crash. Quickly turning around, Alice saw a huge black truck crashing into the back of her car. Her heart raced, and she ran back, her heels echoing on the concrete floor. "What have you done?" shouted Alice, her voice trembling with anger and disbelief. The truck driver got out of the vehicle looking genuinely sorry. He was a tall man with broad shoulders, appearing to be around 30 years old. His eyes conveyed concern as he assessed the damage. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I got distracted, but don't worry, I will pay for the repair of your car," said the man, his calm voice contrasting with Alice's agitated state. Alice looked at her car, feeling her blood boil. The rear was completely wrecked. Broken lights, dented bumper, and deformed bodywork. Her breathing quickened and she felt tears forming in her eyes. "Do you have any idea of the trouble this is going to cause me?" Alice exploded, gesturing frantically. "I have an important trip planned. What am I going to do now?" The man, who introduced himself as Travis, remained calm. "I truly understand your frustration. Let's exchange information, and I promise to sort everything out. I have a friend who owns an excellent repair shop. I can take you there today." Alice took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. They exchanged information and she headed to work, still shaken by the incident. Upon arriving at her office, she discovered that she had missed an important meeting. Her boss informed her that, due to her absence, she had been scheduled to work on the days leading up to and following Christmas. But I had plans to travel to see my family, Alice argued, feeling despair rising. I'm sorry, Alice, but the schedule is already set. You should have arrived on time, replied the boss, closing the conversation. Alice returned to her desk, devastated. In her mind, she blamed Travis for the whole situation. If he hadn't crashed into her car, she wouldn't have been late and would now be free to travel. During lunch, Alice received a call from Travis. She answered brusquely, still resentful. Hello, Alice. I called to let you know that I already spoke with my friend from the garage. You can take the car there today, said Travis, his voice sounding genuinely helpful. Great, Alice replied dryly, noting down the address. Still during her lunch break, Alice went to the indicated garage. The place was clean and organised, with several cars in different stages of repair. The garage owner, a middle-aged man, welcomed her warmly. Your car will be like new, don't worry, the workshop owner assured after examining the vehicle. But unfortunately, with the holidays approaching, we can only deliver it in January. Alice felt like she had been punched in the stomach. January? But it's so much time. I know it's complicated, but we'll do the best job possible, the man assured. Resigned, Alice left the car and decided to walk back to work, as the workshop wasn't very far. On the way, she stepped on a poorly closed manhole, and the heel of her favourite shoe broke. She looked up at the sky as if asking what else could go wrong. At that moment, her phone rang again. It was Travis, asking if everything was fine with the repair shop. Everything's great, responded Alice sarcastically. My car will only be ready in January. I missed my Christmas trip. I have to work during the holidays, and now I broke the heel of my favourite shoe, all thanks to you. There was a silence on the other end of the line before Travis responded. I really am sorry for all these inconveniences, Alice. If there's anything I can do to help. You've done enough, Alice cut in, ending the call. On Christmas Eve, the atmosphere in the office was festive, with everyone saying goodbye to enjoy the holiday. Everyone except Alice. Days, her best friend, approached her desk. Alice, you can't go on like this. Why don't you try the dating app again? At least you won't spend Christmas alone, suggested Days. Alice shook her head. I've given up on love, Days. I'm going to spend the night with frozen food and a good movie. It's all fine. Days frowned, concerned. I have a better idea. My cousin is also going to be alone on Christmas. Why don't you two meet up? He's a nice guy, I promise. Alice hesitated. I don't know, Days. I'm not really excited about dates. Come on, it doesn't have to be anything serious. It's just so you both won't be alone, insisted Days. Reluctantly, Alice ended up agreeing. After all, what would one more disappointing date be on her list? After a few minutes and a phone call, Days returned. Great, Alice, everything's arranged with my cousin. Meet him at this address at this time. He'll be waiting, said Days, handing a piece of paper to Alice. On the day of the date, Alice got ready with an obvious lack of enthusiasm. She looked at her wardrobe, not wanting to put in much effort, and ended up choosing a simple green sweater and jeans. As she dressed, her thoughts wandered. Why am I even doing this? It's just another pointless date, she muttered to herself, with a dejected expression. Upon finishing, she went to the kitchen to get her cell phone and saw the paper with the address her friend Days had given her on the table. With a sigh, she picked up the paper and realised something obvious that had previously gone unnoticed. I didn't even ask for her cousin's name. Alice frowned, feeling even more unmotivated. For a moment she hesitated. She thought about cancelling everything, but something inside her, perhaps a mix of etiquette and guilt, stopped her. She tried calling Days in the hope of resolving the issue of the name, and even confirming if it was worth going out that night, but her efforts were in vain. Her friend did not answer the phone. Resigned, Alice sighed deeply before calling a taxi. The wait was long, as expected on Christmas Eve, but she finally managed to get in. As the car wound its way through streets illuminated by wreaths and Christmas lights, Alice watched the scenery with a mix of nostalgia and detachment. The city seemed like an enchanted setting, but for her the holiday magic had been lost. Maybe this will become one of those funny stories I tell my friends in the future, she thought, forcing a smile as the taxi approached the destination. But deep down, she knew she was just trying to mask the fatigue and the feeling of being out of place. When she finally arrived at the address, Alice paid the driver and got out of the car. The place was a restaurant with a discreet facade, partially lit. Inside, some activity caught her attention. Hesitant but curious, she pushed the door open and entered, not knowing that the night held more surprises than she could imagine. The aroma of freshly prepared food invaded her nostrils. Alice heard the clatter of pots coming from the kitchen and decided to investigate. Upon opening the door, she found herself in an unexpected scene. At least 5 people were working frantically, preparing various dishes, and among them, a familiar face. "What are you doing here?" exclaimed Alice, recognizing Travis, the man who had ruined her holiday. Travis looked up, surprised. "Hello? Alice, isn't it? This is my restaurant. I should be asking, what are you doing here?" "My friend Days," began Alice, confused. "I can't believe it. Are you the friend my cousin Days set me up with for a date?" interrupted Travis, smiling as he took a pie out of the oven. "What a small world. Here, take this apron. We still have a lot to do." Alice took the apron, still stunned. "There must be some mistake. Days told me about a Christmas dinner." "And that's exactly it," explained Travis. "But first we need to finish cooking and load everything onto the truck." Without fully understanding but driven by the energy of the environment, Alice found herself helping. She decorated a pie, prepared sauces, and assembled salad dishes. Soon they were loading huge trays into the truck, the same one that had hit her car days earlier. "Are you coming with me?" Travis asked, getting into the vehicle. During the journey, Travis began to talk and surprise Alice. "You know, Alice, when I opened this restaurant, I never imagined it would be such a big success in such a short time. It was like a gift that came to change my life. And you know, Alice, when life blesses us this way, I feel it's our duty to give something back to the world." He paused, looking out the window as if seeing memories passing before his eyes. "So I decided that this Christmas I would do something special. I've prepared a dinner for children from orphanages here in the city. There are 150 little hearts who will have the chance to experience a magical night with good food, laughter, and love. It's the least I can do." Alice felt a lump in her throat, moved by Travis's sincerity and kindness. Alice felt something change within her. The man she had blamed for all her recent problems was performing such a beautiful act of generosity. She observed him with new eyes, noticing his determination and kindness. They arrived at a large hall that seemed straight out of a Christmas fairy tale. Twinkling lights created a starry sky on the ceiling, while pine wreaths with red ribbons adorned the walls. Long tables were carefully arranged with white linen tablecloths, decorated with candles and small Christmas flower arrangements. Children of all ages were running back and forth, their laughter filling the room, and their eyes shining with pure magic as they took in the decorations and the irresistible aroma of the dinner that wafted through the hall. Alice, still a bit hesitant, followed Travis and the other volunteers to the tables where the food would be served. Large, steaming platters were arranged in an organized sequence. Golden turkeys, carefully prepared salad dishes, pies with the aroma of apple and cinnamon, and an impressive variety of desserts. Each dish seemed to have been prepared with special care. While serving generous portions to the children, Alice glanced sideways at Travis. He was at the center of everything, leading with calm and efficient energy. He was the one making jokes to break the ice with the shyer kids and offering encouraging looks to the more nervous volunteers. When a little girl, perhaps 5 years old, approached with tears in her eyes because she had dropped her piece of pie, Travis crouched down to her level, gently wiped her face, and made her laugh by accidentally dropping a spoonful of whipped cream on his own nose. Later, already seated at the table surrounded by children who were curiously asking questions about absolutely everything, Alice found herself smiling as she listened to him tell funny stories. He seemed to have a natural talent for capturing their attention, using funny voices and exaggerated gestures. At the same time, he was kind and caring, ensuring that all were well fed and happy. For a moment, Alice allowed herself to just watch him. She noticed the way his smile was warm and how his eyes shone when a child said something unexpected. He seemed so at ease, so complete at that moment, that she felt a growing admiration. What had once been just a stranger who had ruined her car now seemed like someone extraordinary, someone she wanted to know even more deeply. It was as if the initial chaos that brought them together had been the perfect prelude to reveal Travis's true essence, and perhaps to allow her to see something new within herself. At the end of the night, as Travis was driving her home, they talked about coincidences and destiny. "I don't believe in chance, Alice," Travis said, parking in front of her building. "I make my own destiny." Alice smiled, feeling a connection she hadn't anticipated. "Thank you for tonight, Travis. It was magical." The next day, Alice went to work with her mind still occupied by memories of the previous night. The laughter of the children, the warm looks from Travis, and the generous spirit that permeated the dinner continued to echo in her heart. Even amidst the hustle and bustle of the office, she found herself smiling when thinking about the conversation they had had in the car. There was something about Travis that intrigued her deeply, something she still couldn't quite define. When the workday finally ended, Alice descended the building stairs, pulling her coat tight against the biting cold. As soon as she reached the sidewalk, she froze upon seeing a familiar figure leaning against a black pickup truck, with a smile that seemed to warm the chilly air around him. "You here?" she asked, surprised and a little suspicious. Travis shrugged, with a casual air, but his eyes shone with anticipation. "I thought maybe you'd like to take a drive." Alice hesitated for a moment, but soon a smile escaped. "All right, Travis, but I'm warning you now, if it's to convince me to carry more food trays, I'm out." Travis laughed, a warm sound that echoed on the chilly street. "I promise this time it's just fun. Trust me." During their stroll through the city, Alice and Travis talked like old friends. He took her to a cozy cafe where they shared an apple pie and hot chocolate. Alice discovered that besides owning a restaurant, Travis was an incorrigible dreamer who believed in the power of small gestures to change the world. In the following days, Travis continued to appear at unexpected moments. He surprised her with funny messages, casual invitations, and even small kindnesses, like leaving a hot coffee at her building's reception. Alice, who had always been reluctant to lower her defenses, began to look forward to these encounters and his company. When the new year arrived, Alice realized that something had changed within her. Travis was not just a man who had ruined her Christmas and then transformed it into something magical. He had shown her that happiness could be found in simple things, like sharing a laugh, cooking together, or just listening to someone with an open heart. Months turned into years, and the love between Alice and Travis grew like a carefully unwrapped gift over time, revealing new surprises and joys. The tradition of preparing Christmas dinners for underprivileged children became the heart of their celebrations, but the impact of their actions transcended the meals. Each smile from a child, each look of gratitude received, was a reflection of the deep and transformative love they shared. Every Christmas the hall vibrated with the children's joy, and amid this magical energy, Alice and Travis exchanged glances that spoke more than words could express. They were looks of companionship, of lived memories, and of dreams yet to be realized. That Christmas, when everything seemed lost, Alice found not only the love of her life, but also a mission that filled her heart. And alongside Travis, she understood that the true Christmas spirit is not in perfect plans, but in the joy of turning the unlikely into something extraordinary. Together they made love and generosity the most precious gifts they could share. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.